Hi, greetings for the day. This is your CA Uday Elchuri. Today I'm going to share some insights about ERPs. Especially this video might be helpful to the people who want to start their career as ERP consultants. In today's agenda, I'm going to talk about the four topics. One is the types of ERP projects and various ERP deployment models, and what are all the various kind of modules in ERP, and the last topic is roles in ERP. The first topic is types of project. Under types of projects, you have three types. One is an implementation project, support project, and upgrade project. Let me take an example to explain these three types of projects. Let's say this business wants to implement ERP in their organization. So the first thing they need to do is they need to figure out which ERP product best suits to them considering their business model and operations. So once they decide the product to be procured, the second step is they need to purchase the software. They need to purchase the ERP. Okay. From whom they have to purchase? From the ERP vendors. Examples: Oracle Corporation, SAP, Microsoft. They all have their individual ERP products. In case of Oracle, they have Oracle E-Business Suite, Oracle Fusion. SAP has ECC and S4HANA, the latest ERP product from SAP, and Microsoft has Microsoft Dynamics. So based on the product the business decided, they will be approaching the respective ERP vendor and purchasing it. Okay, so this is the second stage in the cycle. First they have to decide and then procure it. But once they procure the ERP product, the second step is ideally using the product. But before using it, it requires a configuration. What do you mean by a configuration? As you all know, ERPs are very large application and can cater different kinds of businesses or industries. So when a particular organization or a client procured an ERP, he has to configure it as per their business processes or requirements. So this configuration is managed through an implementation project. So this is what an implementation project means. Basically, in implementation projects, the product specialists or consultants, example, they can be from the ERP vendor or even from a third-party consulting companies like TCS or Infosys or Wipro, or even for that matter, they can also be from the client internal IT team. So they are the respective product ERP specialists who can understand the business process or requirements and then configure the ERP product accordingly. So these activities will be managed in the implementation project. So once the product is configured and now it is ready for use, so business people start using it. So while using it, they might need support from the product specialist for various reasons. Example, they might encounter some issues in the product, or they might want to add some newer functionality or change the existing configurations for many things, or even for the user trainings. So there could be many reasons where they might dependent on the consultants or the product specialist to support them. So this phase is covered under support project. And the last type of project is upgrade. Upgrade project is not mandatory, but just in the sequence I am saying, once it is configured and start using it, then only you go for upgrade, right? From the sequence point of view, it will come under last, but it's not a mandatory life cycle. So the ERP either can go for an upgrade or may not. But you can say 99% all the ERPs will have an upgrade. If you take an example of our mobile operating system like Android or iOS, even you CA cases previously when you purchased the mobile, it would have come with one operating system version. After some point of time, you would have got some upgraded like Android 9 to 10, even iOS 10 to 11, right? In the similar way, ERP applications will also have an upgraded version. Basically, in the upgrade version, they would have fixed the bugs in the previous version, or they would have added some newer functionality. So based on the business requirement, the existing version will be upgraded. So this phase will be covered under through upgrade project. So this is the basic explanation about implementation project, support project, and upgrade project. Now let's continue with our discussion on the chart. Under implementation, there are few more points that we need to understand. One is greenfield or vanilla implementation. This means if you are implementing the product from scratch, it's called greenfield or vanilla implementation. And the second type is re-implementation. In simple terms, re-implementation means the business or client is already having one ERP application and he want to discard it and re-implement it again for various genuine reasons. One such example could be the existing ERP application is not in a position to support the business organization requirements. Maybe they would have configured not keeping in mind the future requirements, and they are in a situation now they are unable to scale it up. And the third category is rolling out. This is basically applicable for companies who are geographically spread, and in those scenarios, if that company is implementing an ERP, they don't want to implement the ERP at all locations at the same point of time. Instead, they initially start implementing the ERP at one set of location, and then once it is successfully went live, they continue the same process in another locations. So in that case, they need not do the requirement gathering from scratch. The basic requirements are already laid out. Only the location specific requirements will be taken and implemented on top of the existing application. So these are the three categories of implementation projects. And the last topic is implementation methodology. This is just I want to provide this information so that you'll be able to understand how in real time the projects are implemented. One is Oracle Unified Methodology. Another one is Accelerated SAP Methodology. In the similar way, every ERP product might follow their own implementation methodology. Say under Oracle Unified Methodology, they have 5 stages through which you can be able to implement the ERP. One is inception, the second one is elaboration, third stage is construction, fourth stage is transition, fifth stage is production. Under inception stage, basically all the stakeholders from the project, be it the business users or the implementers, all come together and discuss about the high level project requirements and finalize the project plan. And they also kick off the project. So once the project is kicked off, the second phase will be started, which is an elaboration phase. Under elaboration phase, the product specialists or consultants will sit with the business users and discuss the detailed requirements of the business and also how they want to process the transactions in the newer application, which is called a to be process. And once they gathered all the requirements, the sign off will be taken on the requirements so that consultants can start building the application in the construction phase. So based on the requirements gathered, they configure the application and demonstrate it to the users. If at all, if any modifications are required, they will reiterate the process once again. And the next stage is transition phase, where the UAT will be conducted, user acceptance test. So it is almost look alike as a production system, so that users will be able to understand how the new ERP product will look alike and how they will be processing the transactions, and also the data migrations and the cutover plans. Everything will be done in the transition phase. And the final phase, which is a production phase, where the system will be up and running on one particular date. Once the system is up and running, then the next stage will be the support project, which we discussed earlier. So this is how the project will be implemented using this implementation methodology. In the similar way, SAP also have an accelerated SAP methodology, and in which it has 6 stages in it. Even though the number of stages differ from the above methodology, OEM versus ASAP, but the underlying process will be same. This is how the implementation projects will be managed. And the next category of project we already discussed, a support project, basically to manage the ongoing activities of the business users. So under support projects, there could be some bugs in the system, or maybe users may request for some enhancements, or even for some user trainings, changes in the configurations, and also month-end support. There are many things that will be scoped under support project, where the consultants are responsible to support the business user. The third one is upgrade project. As I mentioned earlier, basically you upgrade from the older version to the newer version. In these kind of projects, basically the upgrade happens through technical scripts, but the functional consultants are responsible to ensure that the migrated data is matching with the previous version as on a particular cutoff date. So example, they do a lot of checks like record count. Number of suppliers exist in the previous version should match to the number of suppliers in the newer version, and also the GL balances should match, inventory balances should match, and the transaction count should match. And in the newer system, they does the testing also, like whether the system is working as expected or not. So a lot of things will be done in the upgrade project, but ultimately they are moving from one version to the newer version. So these are all the 3 types of projects you can see in the ERP space. The next topic is types of deployment. When selecting a new ERP system, one of the most critical factors in your decision will be whether you choose on-premise ERP or a cloud deployment. The fundamental difference between an on-premise implementation versus cloud-based ERP is where the application resides. In case of on-premise ERP, it is installed locally on a company's own computers and servers, whereas in case of cloud-based ERP, it is hosted on vendor's servers. Here vendor means the cloud service provider, and the systems are accessed through a web browser. Cloud-based ERP systems are more common than ever before. Today, nearly every ERP vendor offers some form of cloud deployment option, and some have discarded their on-premise ERP offerings altogether. But there are still several reasons why a small or mid-sized businesses might choose a traditional on-premise ERP system, which until recently was the norm in the ERP space. Some of the factors that differ from on-premise and cloud are from the cost point of view. In case of cloud ERP, the upfront cost will be low because you pay only a rental, whereas in case of on-premise, the upfront cost is very high. It is something like buying a car versus renting a car. If you are buying a car, you have to pay the upfront cost, whereas in case of renting a car, all you pay is monthly rental. From the security point of view, the data security is the cloud service provider's responsibility in case of cloud-based ERP, whereas in case of on-premise ERP, the data security is the end user's responsibility. From the customization point of view, cloud-based ERPs offers less flexibility in customization, whereas on-premise ERPs offers more flexibility. Again, if you buy a car, you can do the customization as you want, but in case of rental purpose, all you can do was use it, but you cannot modify it. From the implementation, a project implementation point of view, cloud-based ERPs typically takes less time to implement, whereas on-premise ERP takes more time to implement, especially when there are many customizations. So like this, there are on many factors, the on-premise versus cloud deployment differs, and under cloud you have various models of offerings also. Software as a service, which is also called SaaS, platform as a service, PaaS, and infrastructure as a service, IaaS. I'm not getting into the details of these models. I'll try to make a separate video on this. For now, just understand these are all the basic two categories of deployment: on-premise and cloud. And the next topic is modules. ERPs are modular designed. What do you mean by a module? Each ERP module is designed for specific business functions, providing the data and supporting the processes that will help the employees to do their job. Example, under finance, you have an accounts payable module which helps the payable department in an organization to manage their supplier master related transactions, like the supplier master creation as well as update, and the supplier invoice processing and supplier payment processing. Similarly, the accounts receivable module enables the receivable department in an organization to manage their customer data and customer invoice processing and receipt processing. So how the ERP modules help the businesses? The modular design of ERP allows the businesses to meet the shifting need of businesses and is a big reason why the ERPs has become ubiquitous. An organization can purchase only the modules relevant to its business model, operations, and the challenges it has. Example, you take a manufacturing company, they might need the manufacturing suite, whereas if you take a trader who merely involves in buying and selling a good, he don't need the entire manufacturing suite. He might need only the basic finance as well as the supply chain. And the beauty of this modular ERP software is that a company can add this functionality while keeping the same foundation in place. There is no need to implement a new ERP system, which is a lengthy process when requirements change. Example, initially the company procured the ERP and implemented only the finance and supply chain modules, but in future, maybe after an year or so, if they are also dealing in some kind of projects and want to implement the project suite, they can simply add the modules on the existing platform itself. They need not re-implement from scratch. And also few other benefits given by this modular functionality. One is on the implementation timelines. Instead of implementing all the modules at the same time, in some companies, what they do, they initially implement the basic modules to run the operations, and as and when they want to add in certain projects, what we do, we implement the basic modules like finance and supply chain to manage the regular operations, and once that phase is completed, we add the add-on modules like be it a project or a manufacturing. There are so many modules per se, so this allows the projects can be implemented in a quicker time. And also one more advantage is segregation of duties. As we discussed in the previous example, the payable department and the receivable department, an employee from a payable department is not required to have an access to the customer related information. In such case, the access to the payable department employee can have access only to the AP module and not to the AR module. So in this way, even the segregation of duties can be managed well with the modular functionality. And also from the licensing or charge point of view, the ERP vendors may charge based on the modules used by the client. In case of on-premise ERPs, they typically charge on upfront per user license, while the software as a service or a SaaS vendors charge on per user, per month or year basis. In some cases, there are transaction based charges as well. So the list I have given here is only an illustrative list. Example, under supply chain, you have a purchasing module to manage your purchase order process, like creation of purchase requisition, purchase order, and GRN processing. Under order management, you manage your sales order creation and shipment. Under inventory, you manage all your inventory item creation. Under HRMS, you have a HRMS or a payroll to process your monthly payroll. So this is how the modules will exist in an ERP product. I will show one more example on these modules. So this is an one of the ERP product from Oracle, which is called Oracle E-Business Suite. It has so many tracks, and each track has many modules. If you see here under financials, there are 19 modules are listed. Okay, so based on the business need, they can choose which modules they want to implement. In the similar way, under order management, they have 19 modules here. Oracle Configurator, Oracle Incentive Compensation, Oracle Quoting, Sales Contract, Oracle Proposals, Sales. So this is what I'm talking about. If you see here, approximately this ERP product has 100 plus modules, but again, not every business needs all the modules. Based on their business operations or a model, they can choose which modules they want to implement. So this is about modules. The last topic is roles in ERP. I have categorized them into broadly three. One is consultant, end user, advisory. Under consultant, you have two subcategories to it: functional consultants and technical consultants. Functional consultants are those who are a domain specialist as well as the product specialist. Example, if you take a finance functional consultant, these people are basically specialized in the finance and accounts operations, and also they are, from the product expertise point of view, they basically manages the finance modules in the ERP. We predominantly see commerce or commerce graduates or postgraduates, or even from professional qualifications like CS and CWS in finance functional roles. In the similar way, for supply chain also, you see the people who worked in companies in the supply chain departments. So they are whoever have the respective domain expertise, because they are the people who can understand the business requirements and the configure the application. And the second category of consultants or technical consultants, again these have been subclassified into two. One is programmers or developers. So they are basically coders in simple way, who are specialized in particular programming languages like PL SQL. And the third category is system administrators or DBAs, who are responsible for the databases and applications and ensuring that those are up and running and always available. And they also do a lot of other activities like application of patches or cloning the instances and ensuring the database security, and also establish and maintain the backup and recovery policies and procedures. Let me try to explain how these three category of people work together in any project. Let's say if you take an implementation project, as we discussed earlier, it has different phases, right? One is inception, elaboration, construction, transition, and production. Let's say the functional consultants are the people who basically plays a key role and especially act as a front-end face to the business users. So they sit with the business users, gather the requirements, and accordingly they configure the application. If at all, if any requirement is unable to meet with the standard functionality, they may also suggest a customization. In those cases, they need an help of technical consultants to do the customization, especially the programmers. And from the database administrators point of view, these are all the people who actually install the applications to make it ready for the functional consultants to be able to configure it. And also while implementation, we go with the different versions of the applications, like development environment, test environment, and production environment. So the database administrators are the people who facilitate to have many instances as per the requirements. Whereas in case of support project, the business users carry out the transactions using the ERP applications and encounter a lot of bugs, or there could be enhancements or user trainings, right? So which we already discussed earlier. For any kind of these requests, they first contact the functional people, and if the functional consultant based on the need either approach the programmers or system administrators to resolve the tickets, and this is how in real time they work together. And the subsequent category of role is end user. This is very simple. If your organization is using an ERP product and you are working in an example in a purchasing department, and if you use the application to do the data entry or to take any reports of that ERP, you become an end user of that ERP product. And the third category is an advisory role. These kind of roles are very limited in nature. I predominantly see these roles with big four consulting companies like Deloitte, EY and KPMG. Let me take an example what kind of roles these advisory people does. Let's say this business wants to implement the ERP application, and they choose one of the consulting companies to implement a product called ABC ERP in their organization. So what they do, they hire a consultant from one of the another consulting companies to act as a liaison between the consultants and the business or business users, because business users are not technically competent. They are good at in the business operations but not in the product, whereas the consultants are basically specialists in the product. Even though they are having the domain expertise, sometimes business prefers to have an intermediary between these two set of users, so that the requirements will be translated in a way the consultant can understand and ensure the smooth project implementation. So these are the kind of roles an advisory plays. But as I said earlier, these roles are very limited in nature, and you mostly find in big four consulting companies. So this is about roles in ERP. And at another point I would like to mention, as I said, in consulting, nowadays the trend is techno-functional consultants. So the person is expected to have a functional as well as some basic knowledge of the technical part, so that he'll be able to manage work effectively. I hope you find this video helpful. If you like it, please share this in your circles and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.